Time has gone 12 minutes after the hour, 6 o'clock, and it's a very good evening to you. Welcome to our broadcast this evening, brought to you courtesy of Government Communication and Information System, the GCIS, alongside the Department of Justice and Constitutional Development. We're glad to have you in this program this evening. My name is Karabalans, and I'll be keeping you company all the way up until, say, around about 10 past 6 this evening, as we're going to be talking about issues that we always talk about on a Thursday, every Thursday between 6 o'clock or between 5 past 6 and 5 past 7 o'clock. We have this show, and it's called Let's Talk Justice, Live Your Rights show. And it's brought to you, as I said, by the two departments, two sister departments, the GCIS, as well as the Department of Justice and Constitutional Development. Not forgetting the National Prosecuting Authority, by the way. They're also part of our partners, and we're glad to have them on board. So today we're going to be talking about one of the most important issues, which is called the Small Claims Court in South Africa. Now, what we want to do is to try to raise awareness about the Small Claims Court. We'll also like to highlight the successes of the Small Claims Court to date. Let us try and see if we can educate ourselves on the role of the Small Claims Court commissioners as well. And I'm glad to have one of them here this evening here with us. We're going to encourage ourselves now to really utilize the small claims courts as well, but that will come with the understanding of what the small claims courts roles are. So once we've done that, we'll then see if we can, try to practice what we've learned this evening. And obviously, last but not least, we're going to try to highlight the department's efforts to improve the small claims courts as well. So that's what's in the pipeline for this evening, and I'm looking forward to it. So now, here it's how it's going to work this evening. If you want to give us a call, if you want to engage us, what you can do is to use this toll-free number. It's very, very easy. It's 0800 142 446. 0800 142 446. Otherwise, you can hook us up on Twitter, DOJCD_ZA. That's DOJCD_ZA. Facebook fans, you can hook us up on Facebook as well. The Department of Justice and Constitutional Development. Stolo sa ba pedil matebele ke na lwena le hono boshong bya le hono mtheletši ke thabela go ba lwena mo lenaneng la rena la Let's Talk Justice, Live Your Rights le ilong gore le direga la bono mongwe mongwe ka iri ya boselela go fitlela ka iri ya bosupa rena le wena mtheletši se jabule kakhulu ukuthi nawe mlaleli uyingxenye yaleli hlelo lethu the Let's Talk Justice, Live Your Rights show. And I'd like to encourage you really to use each and every, well, not each and every really, but any language of your choice. You can engage us in any language of your choice, Afrikaans, English, any of the Nguni, Sotho, or languages. You can definitely jump in, and we'd really like to hear from you this evening. Our guests, two of them coming from the Department of Justice and Constitutional Development overall. It's the advocate Peter Durand, and he's the Chief Director who deals with court services. Mr. Durand, thank you so much for your making time for us this evening.
Thank you, Karabu. I'm very pleased to be in the studio this evening to discuss the Small Claims Court.
100%, and not forgetting Mr. Tibani Phahla, and he's the Small Claims Commissioner. Otwale Soshanguve. Data Phahla, ngaro mo ele lwena.
Ke a leboga Karabo le listeners.
So there we go. We've got a versatile, quite a number of people who can speak. And in fact, I was talking to Mr. Durand earlier, and he said to me, "No, listen, you can hook me up with Afrikaans if you want to." And that's definitely the way that we're going to go. Also, no big Afrikaans praat. My tongue's going to have to loosen up a little bit so that the Afrikaans thing can just roll. My tongue moet roll. Yeah, we're getting there.
Ons nooi alle luisteraars uit om ons in Afrikaans ook aan te spreek.
Balance, what is it? Skakel ons gerus 0800 142 446. There's the number of Skakel. It's a toll-free number, by the way. 0800 142 446. Yeah, who said I cannot mention numbers in Afrikaans? I'll put you in a corner. Let's start. Let's not waste any further time, seeing that we've ran out of time, actually. Let's start with the basics, and this is what I normally do, Mr. Durand and Mr. Phahla, is to start with the basics of the question, to ask what is this we are talking about. All right, let's laid out simple. Small claims courts. Somebody's hearing this for the first time. What are we talking about when we're talking about small claims courts?
Thank you, Karabu. I think the establishment of small claim courts is part and parcel of the Department of Justice and Constitutional Development's goals to improve access to justice. This basically means that we want people to be able to deal with small civil matters in as easy a format as possible. These courts help us to resolve smaller civil disputes in a cost-effective manner, and this makes it therefore easier that justice can become a reality for all our people, even in the most remote rural areas. Small claims courts allow you to basically institute a small civil claim of less than 15,000 rand in a speedy, affordable and simple manner without having to use an attorney. These courts are specifically created to eliminate all these time-consuming adversarial procedures where you've got lawyers involved and that takes up cost and time. Therefore, we do not allow legal representatives in these courts to appear on behalf of the litigants. The commissioners are appointed to preside in these courts, and they are normally attorneys or advocates or people with a very strong legal training and experience, and they deal with these matters free of charge on behalf of the government. This basically, when I say that people cannot use an attorney during these trials, does not mean that person cannot consult a legal representative before going to a small claims court. Up till now, in October this year, we have basically established 365 such small claims courts countrywide. We also have 82 additional places of sitting for small claims court sessions. So basically these courts are there as part and parcel of our formal justice system, but specifically designed in such a way that the proceedings are informal, are easy and are speedily, and they can deal with small claims issues therefore in a very quick fashion there.
Yeah, that's Mr. Advocate. That's Advocate Peter Durand coming from the Department of Justice and Constitutional Development. I think a lot of people are quite familiar with advocates, but I think one thing that's taking it a bit step higher that people are not necessarily familiar with, especially when you're talking about small claims courts, is commissioners and what they do. And here's Mr. Phahla, and he's the commissioner, small claims commissioner in Soshanguve. And maybe Ndate Phahla o ka re tlhalosetsa go senyane gore na commissioner ena wa dilanga this small claims court, what does he do? What is his role as a commissioner?
The commissioner, as Advocate Durand has stated, is that the courts are more like any other courts in the country. However, it has been established or enacted in terms of Act 61 of 1984, specifically to deal with matters with regards to jurisdiction, specific amount that you cannot, or a party is entitled to. It's 15 is the maximum that you can claim. Commissioner sits like any other presiding officer in court, adjudicate matters, and takes in charge, actually is responsible for the proceedings in court with regards to the parties, the plaintiff and the defendant sitting in court.
Give us a call on 0800 142 446. That's 0800 142 446. I don't want to waste any time. I'd like you to get involved really with our conversations this evening. Remember that number is a toll-free number, so you're not going to be paying a single cent if you're calling from a landline. However, if you're using a cell phone, we'd like you to give us a call first. Quickly, we're going to take your details down and we'll give you a call back, and that way we're going to be saving you costs. So be in touch with us if you want to find out a little bit more about the small claims courts. That's 0800 142 446. That's 0800 142 446. That's a toll-free number if you're going to be calling from a landline. 20 after 6 o'clock. It's a very good evening to you. You've just joined us. Two guests in the studio. We're chatting to Advocate Peter Durand, and he's the Chief Director coming from the Department of Justice and Constitutional Development, as well as Mr. Tibane Phahla, the Commissioner Soshanguve for the Small Claims Courts. And these gentlemen have said to me, listen here, we're going to be coming this evening and we're going to be giving people information they need. We want them to understand when we're talking about the Small Claims Court, what are we talking about? And in fact, would like them to utilize the Small Claims Courts, because the department is really embarking on actually even improving the Small Claims Court. So we want to push people to really get involved in that regard. But here's one thing that you've mentioned, which I find very interesting, and I would like to just find out a little bit more about that, and I'm sure the listeners would like to do the same as well. We mentioned that no legal representation in court, but you can consult. So in other words, would I be correct if I say I can go and seek legal assistance, but the actual representation in the court itself, it should not, the legal representative should not be there. Am I correct there, Mr. Durant?
That is absolutely correct. What basically happened is that the two parties, the person that is bringing the claim and then the respondent on the other hand, those two parties come to the court, they state their case to the commissioner in a very frank and easy manner. He looks at the documentation, etc. He looks at what has been claimed, etc. And then he makes a decision based on that. He asks a couple of questions to the various parties to clarify matters. So there's no use of any attorneys in terms of those processes. It's a commissioner that asks questions, makes sure that everybody understands what the issues are. Very much like what we've seen on TV with these Judge Judy type of shows in the States and those sort of things. So it's that type of thing where the court is much more part and parcel of dealing with the questioning of the two parties and making sure that we have a facts, and then he makes a decision on that. And it's very quick and easy. Most often the commissioner comes to an immediate decision and he deals with a case and he grants for order that is case. And we'll be dealing with some of the aspects just now in terms of who can institute a claim and what type of claims can be dealt with in these type of courts. But in general, that's the type of procedure that is used.
Okay. I want to spread it a little bit more before we even go on to the next questions, really. You know, with a Small Claims Court, now, how far does one have to know the law to actually be able to represent themselves? Because somebody might be scared that, look, I'm not a good speaker. I would like somebody to speak on my behalf. If it's not a legal representative, can it be somebody else who can come and speak on your behalf? If you find yourself at a place where perhaps you are, not that skilled with talking, when you're not like me, basically, I'm just joking, really. But yeah, if you don't talk too much like I do, can you find somebody outside to come and represent you, really?
I think normally we reserve that for younger people, but normally you bring your own claim. And what we do at a Small Claims Court is, if a person wishes to institute a claim, he doesn't need any legal knowledge, etc. He approaches the clerk of a court at a Small Claims Court at his local magistrate's office, and that clerk of a court will assist the person, provide him with the necessary advice, even assist him to complete the forms that are necessary in order to deal with claims to the other party, etc. The clerk will make arrangements for the hearing of the application, arrange the date, time and the venue for the hearing, and then the defendant will be summoned to the court by way of a summons through the sheriff, through the clerk of the court's assistant. So everything is done to really assist the normal man in the street with no legal knowledge to deal with his claim. And that's why when he enters into that court, the commissioner then takes over and he deals with the questioning in such a way that even the most normal person who've got no legal knowledge can deal with his claim as quickly and as easily as possible.
So Mr. Pasha, there's no legal language that's going to be used in court. Ke bona fela motho wa moitea ka objection so there's no heavy legal terms that are used or legal language that's used in court, in the Small Claims Court? Not
necessarily, because the system is not the same as in the magistrate court, where the parties will be responsible for presenting their case. In the Small Claims Court, the commissioner is responsible, after perusing or reading the papers, will be responsible for asking questions to the defendant as well as the plaintiff, both parties. To make sure whether the claim either is successful or the defendant succeeds in his defense.
All right.
And you make a finding out of
out of that? Out of what
that,
yeah. Mr. Durant?
You see, what normally happens is that the commissioner will explain to the parties how the proceedings will happen. He will explain to them that each one will be given the opportunity to present his side of a matter, and then thereafter, if there are witnesses, he'll give the witnesses the opportunity to assist the two parties, and then basically he makes a decision. What normally happens is that the party that makes an allegation, and let's take a simple case, for example, one person lends money to the other and he doesn't repay it, that guy now comes to the small claims court and says, listen, you owe me X amount of money, less than 15,000 rand, and then the case basically proceeds, and the witnesses testify as to what happened, and the commissioner decides and says, right, it's quite clear you did borrow that money, it's quite clear that you still owe it and you haven't paid it, and therefore I now order that you must repay it. And then he makes an inquiry, if a person cannot repay it immediately, how to deal with it, for example, through installments, etc. So it's a very easy type of procedure.
Right. Okay. We're going to be talking quite later. We're going to be talking about issues outside the evidence and all of that stuff, just to tap a little bit more on that and see how far that can go. But before we do that, let's take a couple of callers on the line. 0800, by the way, 0800 142 446, 0800 142 446. Singajabula nawe mlaleli ukuthi ushayele ucingo sike sizwe kuwe ukuthi umbuzo wakho uthini namhlanje. Singafuna ukukunceda mayikhona mhlawumbe inkinga leyo nayo udibene nayo, singakunceda kule nkinga. Ushayele ucingo nje 0800 142 446, 0800 142 446. Utatu class ya stress. Ubabu Gwala from Peter Maritzburg. Good evening to you, Mr. Gwala. Babu Gwala. Sawubona Babu Gwala. Let's move on. Let's try to move on and see if we can chat to Mr. Sunday from the Western Cape, listening via Voice of the Cape. Mr. Sunday? Goeienaand, Mr. Sunday?
Hallo.
Goeienaand, meneer. Hoe gaan het?
Goed, hoe gaat het?
Dat is rechtig, baie goed hoor. Wat is uw vraag?
What I wanted to ask, I've got a guy, he's a building construction guy. I actually knock off somebody else's wall, and I've asked him to fix the wall for me, which I've given. He charged me 14,900 rand. But in return, the job he did, it was not satisfactory, and the client was not happy with the fixing of the wall.
Yeah.
And then the client ended up getting his own contractors to come and fix the wall. So when I approached the guy and let him know, but the way the job is being done, he never wanted to talk to me. He never wanted to. He said he was a subcontractor. He did this on his. He went and get people to do this, and with my knowledge, he's the one who's a contractor himself. And then I tried to talk to him so that he can communicate according to the money, because I had to pay the constructors, which they were organized by the person which have damaged his wall.
All right.
And then
yes.
Yes.
Yeah, go on.
So in that fashion, I don't know, because when I want to talk to him, he puts his phone off. He always tells me that he's not available. He's on his business trips and everything.
But now tell me something. What is it that you want? Do you want that 14,900 rand back, or do you want him to go and build the wall? That wall has been rebuilt.
The wall was. I want my 14,000 back, because the wall, the person which have damaged his wall, he went and get his own contractors.
Right.
Then I had to pay through the insurance that wall.
How much did you pay?
35,000 rand.
35,000 rand. Okay.
Yes, and which I was avoiding by getting him to fix the wall for me.
100%. Okay, let's see how we're going to deal with that one there. Just hold the line for me. Don't hang up yet. Would you like to make a follow-up question, gentlemen? All right, that's it. Okay, that's fine. You can listen via the radio. Thank you so much, Mr. Sunday. All right, that's good. All right, we're dealing with an issue here, but let me see if we've got another caller. It doesn't look like it yet. Oh, we do have another caller, I've been told. Is it Mr. Gwala? Okay, we've got another call on the line. Let's see who do we have on the line. All right, we're chatting to Mandla. Mandla is calling all the way from Kagiso in the East Rand. It's a good evening to you, Mandla.
Send this message. Invalid entry. Please try again. To send this message.
All right. Okay. All right. It looks like we've lost Mandla there. We'll try to get him back on the line very quickly. All right. We're dealing with an issue here, and there's two amounts, and I wonder how we're going to deal with because here he says 14,900 rand. That's what he was asked for. And for me, that figure, as you've explained, gentlemen, quite earlier, that the small claims court, they're taking amounts of less than 15,000 rand. Or 15,000 rand and less, am I correct? So here's one 14,900 rand that qualifies to be in the small claims court. But we've got another figure of 35,000 rand. So it means in the difference, we're looking at least 20,100 rand difference that's this gentleman have spent. What can he go claim? Can he go claim this 14,900 rand, or can he approach the court and say, but I had to overspend above that, and I've paid almost about 20,000 rand in addition to be able to cover the exact amount, or to be able to cover the 35,000 rand, which was in total that I've paid. How would this one work? Do you want to jump in there, Tata Patla? Or Mr. Durant, you'll come back here. Yeah, Tata Patla.
Okay. To break in what I heard from the caller is that firstly, the maximum is 15,000 rands. A party has a choice whether to approach the small claims court or the magistrate court or any other court in the country. He's at liberty to approach which court, a court of his choice. Mm-hmm. But if you approach the small claims court, then the maximum is 15, so you'll have to abandon the amount which is exceeding 15,000.
Okay, so it will be your choice,
It's your choice. He can let go of the 20,000 if he wants to.
Okay. In this regard, though, with this case, what would you advise, Mr. Durant?
No, I think it's quite clear that the claim is below the level that has been set. He can only claim for the 14,900. He cannot claim for the higher amount. And basically what he should be doing is to approach his nearest magistrate's office and go and discuss the matter with the clerk of a court there to help assist him to bring the claim against the contractor which didn't deal with his matter properly.
Mm-hmm. And I would suppose you can't just go there empty-handed and say, look, I've been done wrong and this is the amount. One would need to have proof, I assume, unless if I'm mistaken. What sort of proof, documentation and so forth that he would need to take to court in order for him to lodge his claim?
Well, for one, all the necessary documentations that are relevant, payment of money that has been made, it's the first point. He says he has paid 14,000 rands to this particular contractor. So proof of payment is what would probably be needed. But basically, the clerk of court will be able to assist him with the drafting of the particular claims and to tell whatever that has happened. But there's also one aspect that I note from the caller is that with regards to the amount which is in excess, the 35,000 rands. I'm not going to get to the 35,000 rands. There's other aspect of law, especially with regards to small claims court, particularly sessions. The small claims court does not have jurisdictions where one gets rights which have been ceded by the other party. And I heard that it is the money were paid by the insurance company. So that will also come into effect. Will probably have to be considered.
Wow.
But if he paid the money himself for that, I take it that he has a valid claim for the 14,000 rands against that particular person.
100%. Mr. Advocate Durant?
Just to add to it, I think if one looks at matters of this type of nature, then obviously, as was indicated, the proof of the money that was paid, so the check or whatever evidence he can produce to show that he has paid that money to the person. But he can also say, because he indicated that he was not satisfied with a wall or the other party wasn't satisfied, he can take photographs of that wall and show that type of thing. So this was the standard of things. It's not dealt with properly, etc. So it's that type of thing that he can then bring. Not very legalese type of issues that he has to prove, but basic things.
Yeah.
I paid this money, here's my proof. Here's a photograph of the damage, etc. This is what happened, etc. So it's those basic type of things that can assist the court to then make a decision.
But it gets complicated if one doesn't have proof, for instance. Let's say, for instance, in this case that we're dealing with right now, there's no proof, and the other party argues, I've done a stunning job as far as I'm concerned. I've been building walls since 1975. You know, that whole but there's no proof. The complainant cannot produce proof to say the wall was not to my satisfactory level. The other party says no, but as far as I'm concerned, I did an A-class job.
On that aspect, as I would probably have come in. The aspect, as you point out, the defendant is there. So the commissioner will have to ask all the parties the questions and also find the evidence that has been proved. And on that aspect, on that basis, that the claim has been proved. If the other party proves like this one, it's more of a damages claim. The defendant will probably say, as you say, I did an A-class, and the other one will have to come and prove, because the complainant will probably say, I was not satisfied, the work was of below standard. He will have to have his own experts, because that will probably mean you need a bricklayer who would probably say, this wall was a time bomb, it was a risk, because it lacked all this and that. And based on that, you have all the evidence. The commissioner is not an expert, like in any other court. A judge is not a doctor. You probably need somebody else to say. Right. A bricklayer would say, this was not of quality standard, and this one would probably say, this was quality standard. And you weigh. The second aspect is the person who came and built the substandard work. And the one who came and broke that and said, look, this is the position, will most probably find that either the foundation or part of the work either was considered to be of quality and the other part is of not quality. You probably have a number of issues involved, and you make a decision out of that. Then there's also, you have to, on a balance of probabilities, as to whether this other party, for instance, if the defendant does not dispute money being paid in the first place, then that aspect is covered.
So money will have to be paid back?
No. It's not half.
Right, okay.
Has to prove that the money that must be paid back is 14,000 rands.
Okay.
Because if one comes and say, I paid 14,000 rands, and the other one says, look, it was substandard work, to what extent? The whole wall, or to what extent? Because you might find the foundation was quality, because the one who came just built from the foundation up. Or broke the whole and the whole wall and the foundation. So it means the whole amount will have to be paid back, and whatever that is excess of 15,000 rands will not be able to be recouped.
Looks like I've missed my calling. These are the times where ngifanele ngiyofunda into zaka-justice ngibafake imbuzo nje bazokhuluma iqiniso. All right, we're taking callers now. 0800 142 446 0800 142 446. Fozio from Cape Town, good evening.
Good evening, you're speaking to Fozio.
Hi Fozio, thank you so much for calling in. What is your question?
My question is...
Fozio, before we talk, can I ask you to please just turn your radio down for me? Otherwise, it's fage bondeni. That's the type of thing.
So my question is, recently on the 20th of August, I was given a judgment. The plaintiff basically... claimed 3,000 rand from me in installments, which came to, and because my full amount that I meant to pay was 30,000, and she claimed the installments thereof, which was 6,000 rand. The judge gave her the amount in terms of 3,000 and again 3,000, and it says that it needs to continue by the debt agreement, which she vocally said that she said I need to pay the 30,000 by the agreement, and that was the judgment given. And I wanted to know and basically understand how that was, or how that is accepted, because she's giving installments for me to pay of 3,000 rand a month, which equates to a total of 30,000.
Thank you so much, Fozio from Cape Town. We really appreciate it. Let's go to Mlazi. Mtobeli from Mlazi. Good evening to you. Mtobeli, Sabon. Where Mtobeli? Ninjani baba? Ngiyaphila, umbuzo wakho uthini?
Nginabantu mina, ngina-3 abantu mina abangisokolisayo.
Bakusokolisa kanjani masizwe ke baba?
omunye ngamnika imali ngathi akenze incwadi ukuthi uyangikolota uzonginika nini imali wayenza uma sesihamba isikhathi sefela angikhokhele usebalekile i-address ifoni akasa-answerishi ifoni.
Wamnika malini lo wokuqala lo?
Ngayimnika 4,000 rand.
Lo wokuqala wamnika i-4,000 rand.
Yeah.
Lo wesibili
uthi
angithi utheba
ungikile leta yokuthi uyangikolota uzonginika imali kodwa manje usiyabaleka.
Uyo kuphela lo wakolotayo?
No, omunye ubaleke nemali bengirenta wahamba engingasisanga ukuthi uyahamba wahamba nerent.
Wahamba ngemalini?
Wahamba ne-2005.
2,500 rand. That's the second person. Uthe ukhona umunye wesithathu?
Owesithathu uhleli akafuni ukuhamba akafuni ukungirenta uhleli endaweni yami
Akafuni ukukhokha.
Akafuni ukungirenta akafuni ukuhamba futhi
Hleli nje. Okay, bofuna bhatala ufuna irent ufuna khokhe imalini?
It's amounted to 7,000 right now.
7,000 rand for rental. Okay, looks like we've got three figures that I was looking for. Okay, thank you so much, Baba Mthobeli. Let's see ukuthi sizakunceda kanjani baba.
Okay.
All right, thank you so much. 0800 142 446 0800 142 446. It's a very good evening to you. If you've just joined us, it's gone 18 minutes just before 7 o'clock. Time flies when we're having fun. I've got two gentlemen here in the studio who are definitely armed and loaded with information when it comes to matters of small claims courts in South Africa. And that's Advocate Peter Durand. He's the Chief Director at the Department of Justice and Constitutional Development, as well as Mr. Tibani Phatla, and Yenaki Small Claims Commissioner, also Honamo, just around the corner, Soshanguve. I hope Gillis and Downs. We'll speak about that at the end of the show, though. So here's an issue. Two issues, rather. Fozio came in with a problem, Mr. Durand, and you've noted quite a bit of information there. Do you want to jump onto that and just give us a brief overview?
Yeah, it looks like there was an issue where there was a judgment granted against this person. It doesn't look like she disputes that she did owe money and that she has to repay it. I think what is in dispute here is the fact that apparently the main loan was 30,000 rand, and she has been ordered to pay that back in 3,000 rand installments. Now, something is wrong here, either in terms of perhaps a miscommunication or a misunderstanding of a court order, because a court order can only go up to 15,000 rand. Person cannot be given an order to say you need to repay 30,000 rand. That is beyond the scope of a small claims court. So what would have happened here is most probably that the other person would have had to abandon the difference between the 15,000 and the 30,000 rand, and he would have this person Posia, if she has to repay the money, she can only repay up till 15,000. So I think what I think would be required is that she should go to the clerk of a small claims court and get a copy of that court order and make sure exactly what was ordered in terms of this. But her physical repayment in terms of these things are limited to 15,000 rand. So she shouldn't worry about that. She can't repay more than that. She should be able to repay more than that because the jurisdiction of a court is not above that.
Do you think it might just be possible? Well, we didn't get that information. If we did, maybe I might have missed it. But do you think maybe this happened outside the small claims court, this order?
Well, I think she indicated it's a judgment in the court, in a small claims court. So I think in this regard, I think there might just be a misunderstanding
of the
court order itself.
Right.
The court must probably said that, listen, you have to repay this, but you can repay it in payments of 3,000 rand.
Right.
So 3,000 rand up till the 15,000 rand, not beyond the 15,000 rand. I'm not sure what the commissioner, if he wants to add anything to that.
Yes, that's. I wish I could have maybe asked more questions. Some substance on that, because he said she was in for 6,000 rands. As much as the total amount that was owed is 30,000 rands. Said the amount was 6,000 and the order was for payment in installment of 3,000 rands per month, which would probably have been 2 installments, I take. But I don't understand if it has been running on the basis of the court order, or is it something else? And it is not clear.
So
I tell you what we can do. I'm going to ask the producers to give Fozio a call again, and let's try to establish in detail what has happened there. I don't want it to lose out. I really want her to be helped. You can let us know your questions and comments on our Facebook page as well, by the way. On our Twitter handle is DOJCD_ZA. That's DOJCD_ZA. And otherwise, if you would like to hook us up on Facebook, is the Department of Justice and Constitutional Development. Let's go to the telephone lines quickly. I think we've got Tando calling all the way from KZN, and Tando's listening via the cell phone. Tando, good evening to you.
Good evening.
Siyabonga sis Tando. Umbuzo wakho uthini?
My question is that as a woman who's married in communal property, now my husband passed away. As my husband passed away, I couldn't claim any of my husband's property because one lady fraud the marriage certificate and we went to claim everything from my husband's party, and I never get anything.
Okay, Sister Tando, I tell you what, can you go to a place where there's no echo? I'm battling to hear you. Everybody's battling to hear you. I thought it was just me, but it looks like he said ungaphumela ngaphandle mhlawumbe mawusendlini ungathi uphumela ngaphandle kancane nje. Okay. Ungathi it's better nya, it's a little bit better. Umbuzo wakho uthini ke?
Okay. My question is that
okay.
I'm married in community of property to my husband. So my husband passed away this year. But now his own children and the other wife who was not married in community of property to my husband, but he only got children from my husband. He went to claim my husband's money and I never get anything. All the money was given to that woman because he went to fraud the marriage certificate from the other country.
You say all the money was given to that woman?
Yes, and the children. I never get anything, but I'm married in community of property. When I go to the Home Affairs to find out who is married to this man, it's me who's married to that man. Everything is coming out to the Home Affairs saying I'm the spouse of that man, but I never get given a cent. Everything was given to that woman because he went to fraud the marriage certificate. What I must do.
All right. Sister Tando, we'll try to answer that. Let me see what I can do with that one, because I don't think it's in our scope for this evening. Because to start with, this has got to deal with estates, and I can guarantee you now, it's probably these may probably run way above 15,000 rand. I don't want to assume, but normally these type of things are above that. So what we'll do then is just listen in, Sis Tando. Number one, we're taking your details down, and we're definitely going to get somebody to call you back. But as well, we're going to give out a number towards the end of the show. That number, utilize it and call them directly and just explain to them. You're probably going to speak to somebody that deals with estates in the Department of Justice and Constitutional Development, and they can point you in the right direction. Okay?
Okay.
Thank you so much, Sister Tando. 0800 142 446 0800 142 446. Here's an issue. I'm Tobeli. Bapatla. We spoke about 4,000 rand. He spoke about 2,500 rand. There's just a lot of people who are owing this gentleman. And then there's another one who doesn't want to pay. All right, and he's staying there for free. But let's deal with the 4,000 rand, 2,500 rand, because this can go to the small claims court, as we've learned that the small claims court can take amounts of less than 15,000 rand and less. So let's talk about the procedures of going to lodge a claim, especially for Babu Mtobeli.
Well, Babu Mtobeli will have to go to the small claims court in his area. And he stated that apparently he had an agreement. Either it's an oral. An agreement can be in writing or oral. If it's oral rental agreement, then he'll probably explain. This is what happened. This person owes me 4,000 rands for rental that I for the past 2 months or whatever period that has been. And it falls within the jurisdiction of the small claims court with regards to the amount, 4,000 and 2.5. Two, the third one, the 7,000, all of them actually fall within the jurisdiction of the small claims court. But there's one aspect, especially with regards to the third aspect of the 7,000. He says he does not know, this person does not want to pay the rent or doesn't want to go. If he wants to claim the money, he can do that. But if you want to evict this person, unfortunately, he won't get assistance from the Small Claims Court because it relates to provisions of the Prevention of Illegal Eviction Act.
Right. So
and that does not fall within the Small Claims Court. If it was a business rent, then he would probably be able to approach the Small Claims Court for eviction.
Okay.
But with regards to Small Claims Court evictions, absolutely no.
Okay. Which court can he approach to get help?
The magistrate court can approach the magistrate court. That's his choice.
Okay. All right. Let's check out. Would you like to add, Advocate Durant?
No, I'm in agreement. I think there are certain things that you can't claim in a small claims court. Things such as wrongful imprisonment, wrongful arrest, seduction, something relating to the interpretation of a will, for example. Right. Those are things that are more complex and that require the attention of a normal magistrate's court. So those are the type of things that are excluded from a small claims court. But the first part of the thing, as was indicated, the normal rental type of thing, he can claim for that. There's no issue about that. Mm-hmm. And as has been indicated, he approaches the clerk of a small claims court at his local magistrate's office. The clerk will assist him with advice as well as to draft the written claim, as well as to deal with a summons on the other party.
All right. Mr. Naidu from KZN, I'm coming to you now. Just hang 10. I just want to read a message quickly coming from Khaladi Makua. Hi, my name is Khaladi Maku. I'm listening via Kukuni Community Radio. If someone is owing me an amount of less than 500 Rand and she is unemployed, is it advisable for me to still go to a small claims court? That's
Khaladi, Akaya ko small claims court. Any person, he is at liberty. These are the type of matters that will probably need for assistance. Immediately when the matter is heard, after all the processes has been completed, the summonses, and if the other party appears before the commissioner and explains that I am unemployed, the process will have to be in camera because the commissioner will now have to hold an inquiry as to how much the other person can pay per month or in installments. So she's at liberty. Okay,
there we go. Khalad, the portable Magua, Mina Poka. Yeah, there we go. And Nernano Mungapen Tatanya Kallo, Wangamabuya, but Wangamabuya Bafuna this evening. Greetings to everyone, he says, and he's listening on Naledi radio station. What is the difference between a small claims court and the other courts? Mr. Durand?
Yeah, I think as I've indicated earlier, a normal court has a lot of other procedural aspects. There's normally attorneys that are involved, that cost money, that takes time, etc. A small claims court is basically a very easy forum where things are dealt with in a reasonably informal manner. There are interpreters to assist the people, but two parties basically state their cases and the commissioner deals with it through questioning in an inquisitorial way, so that there is no need for lawyers to be involved. In that way, this court can basically immediately make an award, make an order, and it can be dealt with very quickly. In a normal magistrate's court, there will have to be proceedings, there will have to be legal advice given, you'll need to complete forms, etc., exchange pleadings and all type of litigatory matters, etc., and it becomes quite involved. It takes time and it takes money. So this court is specifically instituted to make sure that we don't have those things, to make a more informal way, a quick, speedy type of resolution of these type of small claim matters that you don't need lawyers for.
0800 142 446 0800 142 446. Mr. Naidu from KZN. Sorry to keep you waiting, Mr. Naidu. I just had to do that with a couple of listeners listening via Facebook and Twitter. Good evening to you, Mr. Naidu.
Good evening to you. I just want to ask you a question. I've got a summons from the lawyers, but at the moment I am in bed. I'm disabled to work. I'm boarded out from work from 2012. But now they are troubling me that I must pay this money. What do? I already collect the disability grant. It's only enough for my lights and my rent.
All right. Okay, there we go. Before we answer that, just noted, Advocate Durant. Let's go to another caller quickly from Khayelitsha in the Western Cape. Pamela, good evening. Sis Pam. Pamela from Khayelitsha, good evening.
Good evening.
Yes, ma'am. Your question, please.
Can I speak at Xhosa?
Ungathetha isiXhosa. Ngavuya. Ningavuya.
Bengicela ukuthi ba ngiyakwazi ukuncedakala mina kule ngxaki ndikuyo kokoko ndazama ukuba ifuna i-small claims court, but ke ngoku yami ifuna big claims court because thathelwa yindlu apha and then 40 Eskom meter box best wathi Eskom mangenza i-quotation zonke bayibona mose yacinywa i-fire brigade 19 October 2010. But ngoku ndiphethe situation ndivana i-project NGO registered as NPO akuzange ndifundwe nganix nendix ngoku u-Eskom uyadecline kodwa ingxaki beyindlela ibox yakhe yadubula isayenza ipali nangoku isatsha ipali phaya yaphola sebhek le for abantu bonke ize kule ndlu yami ke ngoku yenze isibonile ukuthi koshakala okanye ifoni yobuyithatha sentela ba u-Eskom ubaleka ngenyawo phambi kwabantu sikhona isenzeka lento.
Okay. Masiti, this case of yours can be sent to the small claims court. What is it exactly, Sis Pamela, ongafuna ukuthi uyithole lapha kubo?
Abantu abuse because abafuna unika imali yami efanele abantu bathatha yona okanye bandifunde izinto ezizatshayo zami zonke zange bekhona into ephumayo.
Okay,
ngoba benza ndirane wrong i-project yami ndingakwazi irana kahle.
Malini in total, how much are they owing you?
265,000.
Okay, already we
for the project.
All right. Sis Pam, thank you so much for that. Our guests are definitely going to answer that in detail. Dr. Patla has already noted that. He's got an answer ready for you. Thank you so much for calling in. I really appreciate it. 0800 142 446 0800 142 446. It's just gone 2 minutes just before the hour, 7 o'clock. And this is the Let's Talk Justice, Live Your Rights show, courtesy of the Department of Justice and Constitutional Development alongside the Government Communication and Information System. Right, the here's the problem. 265,000 rand, already we're above the threshold. Okay, just explain that, because Pamela says there was a bit of a problem that was happening with Eskom, but the total figure she's giving us that she needs back or she needs to get paid is 265,000 rand. What can she do? I know we've answered that, but we've got other listeners that are joining in and they did not perhaps hear when we answered that type of a question. Let's go back to it just for the sake of Pamela and answer that question. Dr. Patla.
Firstly, the small claims court jurisdiction is to the maximum of 15,000 rands, and Pamela is owed an amount of 265,000 rands. It's way above the jurisdiction of the small claims court, even the magistrate court. So I think she'll have to approach the regional court or any other higher court. She may approach the high court.
I think it's quite important to note that when you talk about amounts of this type of nature, I think it's advisable that she gets proper legal advice.
Right.
This is one of the type of cases where you can't really deal with it on your own. You need to deal with it. Just to make another point, and that is that people that wants to instate a claim, they cannot do that against juristic persons, such as companies, close corporations, or for example municipalities, Eskom, things like that, which have been indicated here. So once again, those would be an exclusion type of thing. So I would really advise her, get some legal advice and see how you can deal with it in one of the formal courts, most probably the regional court, which now also deals with civil matters.
Right.
So she doesn't need to go to the high court, but she can deal with it in the magistrates court level.
So the small claims court is actually just between me and you, if I can put it in the most simplest terms. No organization, does it mean even if the money is below the 15,000 rand, but as long as it's an organization, that jurisdiction is above that. Am I correct?
No, apparently it's natural persons, you and I, can be plaintiff at the small claims court.
Right.
But juristic persons, which we're referring to close corporations and companies,
Right.
can be defendants. And there are exclusions. You cannot sue the state at a small claims court.
All right.
You can't sue municipalities because they are part of the state. When you
Okay.
talk about state, it's either national, provincial, or local.
Right.
So once you have that line, you cannot go after them. But other companies which are created in terms of the act and like parastatals, you can sue them, but you need to be careful because you might be treading on a very thin line with regards to whether it's the state or are you going after the right persons. Yes.
Oh,
But,
Mr. Durant.
Now, just in terms of the gentleman from KZN, Mr. Naidu, who's indicated that he's in bed and he's received a summons from lawyers to pay, we don't know what money is involved. The amount wasn't specifically indicated as far as I could remember. But the fact that it was issued by lawyers basically means that this wasn't done in a small claims court. So it's most probably a matter that has gone through one of the other courts, and we'll need to look at that. Now, the fact that he says he doesn't have money, he only has a grant that he lives on, etc., I would really think that he's most probably indigent. He doesn't have money to deal with these things. So what he could do is to approach Legal Aid South Africa to say, I've got this challenge. I'm in bed. I can't pay these things. I don't have money.
Right.
Please give me some legal advice how to deal with it. That's why there are institutions such as Legal Aid South Africa to help deal with the indigent.
All right. 0800 142 446 0800 142 446. Give us a call should you need any help. Let's speak to Angelina from Lichtenburg in Mafikeng. Good evening to you, Angelina.
Hello.
The guy, Angelina.
Hotel guys.
Redem. Potso how are you, man?
Potso ya ka e re ke batla go tlhaloganya gore ko small claim court ha se go ntse judgment ke kheti se le ko di sheriffing e tla se baka se se kana kang gore o duele.
Okay, I'm hearing the word judgment. I'm hearing the word sheriff. Okay, thank you so much, Angelina. Re tla bona re fetola ya potso ya.
Ke batla a se ke fete papa.
Okay, put this
Ke batla
up.
go tlhaloganya gore ya after the judgment motho a be a boa a tla mo ntlong a tla go damage motšhini wa Kelvinator ampla ka se patale so kganyetsa le le ko di sheriffing so a ke gore a ke tshwantse ke boele gape ko small claim court ke tsenye kganya motšhini gape.
Okay, but okay, hold on. Noile Small Claims Court to start with, ne?
Yes, can be.
And then the Hwatswa judgment, obviously the sheriffs went to him and then he came back again, damaged the property again. So what's the procedure? Are you now have to go to the Small Claims Court again or should you approach another court?
Yes.
Okay. Angelina, was that your last question?
Yes, was my last question.
Yeah, Thank you so much, Sis Angelina. Itara. Okay, let's speak to Hlulane from Palabora. Hlulane, Palabora. Hlulane,
Yes, sir.
Our Hlulane, Gerabule, Lemonarishilena. Pushwarneri.
Yes, in fact, I wanted to know what matters are excluded from the jurisdiction of this court because I've heard you mention some of the issues. So I wanted to know what matters are excluded from this court.
Okay, we've mentioned quite a number of them, Klula, and I'm sure you've missed them, but we'll definitely go back to them. Mr. Durant has mentioned quite a number of them, but definitely we'll answer those. All right, let's go to our Facebook question as well. We've got Sharon O'Sweet, Wagantani. That's what she calls herself. Sharon, thank you so much for listening in. She says, can I take a company to small claims court for unpaid maternity leave of 3 months? Okay. I would have loved to find out what company is that, because we've just established the whole issue, the parastatals and the state and so forth. It would have been good to find, but we'll attempt to answer that. We'll attempt to. Simona, if you can, maybe respond to her, and she can respond back before the end of the show. I'd really appreciate it. 0800 142 446 0800 142 446. Ngiyabasebenzisa labafana this evening. Oh, Lennox, Bakichima blind, but they're sweating. I'm telling you. All right, let's deal with these ones. Angelina went to the small claims court, and apparently there's an order that was sent out. It was taken via the sheriffs, obviously, in terms of delivering that order. But now the person that the order was to be given to came back again and made damage to property. Now, it sounds like Angelina wants to escalate this matter. she would be very happy, as far as I could tell, to go back to the small claims court. But by the sound of it, she would like to take it a bit higher. Can she do that, or must she go back to the small claims court?
I take what her position is, it's two-pronged. There's a matter which has been finalized, and there's a new matter again, the damage to the machine. It's a new matter, can approach the small claims court. And she also asked, how long does it get to finalize this, or for payment after judgment has been? It depends on the sheriff, because the sheriff will have to go and attach, follow the process with regards to say in execution, if the person does not pay. So that will probably be a process to be followed by the sheriff, because she will have to pay, and goods will be removed or attached and then later removed, sold in execution, and she may be paid after that. But with regards to this, the small claims court, if the Kelvinators, the value of the Kelvinator or the damage to the Kelvinator is within the jurisdiction of small claims court, if it's not more than 25,000, as long as it's 15,000 rands, the damage, she can gladly go to the small claims court. But it also involves a matter for the police, I take. She must also consult the police, but that is not for today, I take.
All right, two last callers we're going to take, but Mr. Durant, you would like to add something?
No, I just wanted to indicate that if an order is made by the Small Claims Court Commissioner, and that order requires that the sheriff then does the execution, etc., the cost of that can also be added to the amount for the claimant. So it's not like the person will be out of money, but this is a new claim, and it should definitely be followed up.
Yes. 100%. Last caller, Dumisani, Brown Fisher, good evening. Dumisani. Baba, what is your question? Thank you so much for calling in.
Mina baba nginenkinga la. Inkinga yami kwaye kwafika umuntu la esithi uzongisiza ukuthi athathe ilende itaxi yami efaka kwi-scrapping.
Athathe ini?
Athathe i-taxi yami efaka kwi-scrapping.
All right, okay.
And then manje isikhathi mase sihamba into ngiyayibona into ukuthi ayenzeki, only to find out imoto yami sekethengisile uyithengisele somebody else.
Okay, so you want to know what you should do on this regard?
So now into engifuna ukuyenza mina bese ngifuna ukuthi ngiclaim kulo muntu lo ngiclaim imali yami ewesa imoto yami ne lost income. So ngithema ngihlanganise around figure khona ngathola 146,000.
436.
No, 146,000.
Oh, 146,000.
Yes.
Okay.
So ngifuna ukwazi ukuthi manje ukubunya kwenganokho akuwe ngasizeka kanjani mina ukuthi ngikhona ukuthi ngikhave lo mali kulo muntu.
Thanks, Dooms. Thanks for your call. I appreciate it. 146,000, way above the jurisdiction, right?
Absolutely.
Where can she go? Where can he go? Beg your pardon.
Magistrates Court.
Magistrate courts. Bab Dumisani. Ungangena lapho kwa magistrate courts ubachele. Small claims court is not going to take that case. Not that they don't want to help you, but it's because it's not within their jurisdiction. If the money that you are looking for, or the money that you have to be paid, was 15,000 rand and less, they were going to be happy to help you out. But there's another higher court that you can go to, and that's the magistrate court. Can you do that?
Okay, no problem. Thank you,
Siyabonga Baba. I'll give out the numbers. Towards the end of the show, Bab to me, and then you can find out exactly which magistrate court is next to you. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Auswege 0800 142 446 0800 142 446. Simona ngiyibone lento ukhuluma ngayo. I'm not getting those nanso iyangena ngiyabona ke manje. Let's see, it's a Facebook message. All right, Sharon has responded. All right, no, but it's the same message, isn't it? All right, okay, that's fine. Well, I'll get back to that one. It's Sharon wanting to find out about the maternity leave. I'll find out about that one there. It's just a bit of confusion between me and my producers. All right, she works at the media company, a community radio station. Okay, there we go. Okay, all right. I beg your pardon. So that's a follow-up to that question that we had with Sharon. My producer getting very agitated with me. Okay, we now have established what company they're working for. It's a community radio station. Can it go to a small claims court? It's that lady with the 3 months unpaid maternity leave.
Yes, I take that The position is, if the amount falls within the jurisdiction of a court, the community radio station is not a state. So a company or a juristic person or an association can be a defendant at the small claims court.
Okay, so now let's do the maths here. In other words, the 3 months that she's owed, if the money for all the 3 months added together, the total thereof is 15,000 rand and less, then can she be held? All right, I'm being corrected.
Actually, it can be that the amount is more than 15,000 rand, but for her to go to the small claims court, she will need to abandon the rest.
Right.
So, for example, if the 3 months comes to 20,000 rand, she will have to say, okay, I'm taking care of this. I'm going to go to the small claims courts and I'm going to claim the 15,000. The other 5,000 rand I'm going to give up because I want to go to a court which doesn't have all these lawyer things which I will have had to pay any case. So I'm going to go to this court. So you can have a higher claim, but you need to abandon that portion that is above the 15,000 rand.
All right, 100%. All right, Simona, did you get that? Okay, let's send that response quickly to that listener. I really appreciate it. 11 after 10, or 11 after 7, I beg your pardon. And this is how we wrap it up. I just want to check from our producers if they want me to take at least one more caller. Do you gentlemen want me to take one more caller? If okay, they've indicated one more caller. Let's just ask for 2 minutes from the radio stations to take one more caller, and then let's try to help this person quickly before we say goodbye. 0800 142 446. That's the number that we've been using. All right, who's this caller on the line? Good evening to you, caller. What is your question? Fage Bondeni. All right. Siyamyeka wasifake Bondeni yena asange simfake thina. What matters are excluded when we're dealing about a small claims court?
Very quickly, if I run quick through a couple of them. Any claim exceeding 15,000 rand in value. Claims against the state, including municipalities and local government. Claims based on the cession of transfer of rights.
Right.
Claims for damages in respect of defamation, malicious prosecution, wrongful imprisonment, wrongful arrest, seduction, breach of promise to marry. Claims for the dissolution of a marriage or a customary union. Claims concerning the validity or interpretation of a will. Claims concerning the status of a person in respect of their mental capacity. Claims in which specific performance is sought without an alternative claimant of money for payment of things. Those are the sort of things that we don't normally deal with in a small claims court. But what is very important that if you have a claim relating to repayment of monies lent, you can go to a small claims court.
Right.
If you want to have delivery of specific movable or immovable property, go to a small claims court. If there's an occupier that you have a specific action against where people have rental in arrears, etc., and it doesn't exceed 15,000 rand, go to the small claims court. Any issues relating to arising from liquid documents, that is, for example, if there's a check or a mortgage bond or a promissory note and it doesn't exceed 15,000 rand, please go to the small claims court.
There we go. What a note. How we're ending it. Thank you so much for that. I really appreciate it. 14 after 7 o'clock. All right. So that's how we come to the end of this broadcast of this evening. Let me say my apologies really humbly to Mklatolo. Mklatolo, we've been trying to get a hold of you, actually. The guys have been trying to get a hold of you. Kawada Lennox is stretching his fingers. He's been pressing those buttons, trying to get a hold of you, but in vain, really. But we apologize that you could not be part of this program in terms of calling in. Komapi from Harangu. This is where Reggie is, and I'm probably Reggie has told him to call in. And we thank Reggie and Komapi for having listened to the show. We really, really appreciate it. Let me say my apologies as well to Brian all the way from Joburg, to Tulani from Osizweni, Mutlatolo and Mandla from Kagiso, Ayanda from Letlabide. Let's say apologies that we could not make you part of this program, but hey, there's another chance next week that we would like to engage you on, so make sure that you're part of it.
All those people that couldn't get through tonight, please go to the clerk of a small claims court at your nearest magistrate's office and they will assist you with great happiness.
Mr. Duran, just one more question quickly to you before we wrap it up. Don't you want to stand in for me next week on this show? Because you guys are doing quite well. You could co-present the part.
Can you afford me? That's a question.
No, but no. You see now. No, but you can. All right, that's how we come to the end of our broadcast. This evening has gone 15 after 7 o'clock. Thank you so much to all the listeners who's taken part of this evening in terms of questioning in. Thank you so much to Simone, and she's the lady that's handling our Facebook page and our Twitter page as well. Baba Zibugo, hey, Baba Zibugo has been very stressed today. He's been running around doing our news. Bamshanga assessment. Manje simshange show simupamanzi futhi. Hayi siyabuya. Ubaba Lennox class and on the other hand uyahleka nje. Akayingeni yena. He wants people to work, and we're very happy to have the leadership of somebody like Mr. Lennox class, making sure that South Africans are getting the message that they're supposed to get. They're getting all the help that they're supposed to help. Yeah, thank you so much. And we welcome the new rose within the thorn in our radio unit, Unonhlanhla Ndawonde. And she's the new person. She's our new producer who's joined us. And Nhlanhla has been with us for the past 4 days. But that's how we wrap it up. Thank you so much. Let's meet again next week, Thursday, from myself, Karabolans. Stokrwana sama pedil matebele baka makuala baka mukoni ke la wa ke mina phoka re tla bona na gape ka le letlago.